Hey, good evening and welcome to Shiva YouTube Iyun with Benzion. Tonight's daf is Nedarim, daf Pei Aleph, number 81. As we get closer to the end of Masechus Nedarim, about 10 blot left. I want to talk tonight about Iyun Benzion, about a question that goes back a long time in my life, 22 years. I was 18 years old. I was in Yeshiva University as a freshman. My friends were in Israel, gap year. I didn't go. Somehow I became from NYU and flipped out NYU. Probably the only person ever to do that. But my rabbi played a big part in that. His name was Koenigsberg. I believe he's still there. As I think they elevated him to the Y pre program, the top program over there. At that time he was his first year as a rebbe. He was in the base medrash program, which is a little lower program, and they put me in his shir, and I developed a close relationship with him, and he was very integral in terms of, helping me enjoy learning. I found his style of generating investigations and hakiras in the Gemara very intellectually stimulating, and he also brought me closer. At one point, he came over to me and said, Benny, it was Benny at that point. He said, I think I have a chavrusa for you at night. Maybe you want to learn a chavrusa at night. At that point, I was 2 months into his shir. I said, I already have 3 chavrusas. So I think he was shocked that I was advancing so fast. But I remember one time it was around Yom Kippur time, or before Rosh Hashanah, and we were talking about the concept of tshuva. And I asked him the following question. I said, what's worse? If you think you're doing an Aveira, and you think you're doing an Aveira, but the truth is that's really not an Aveira, right? It's not an Aveira, but b'mezid, on purpose, you're doing something wrong. Turns out it's not an Aveira. You didn't do anything wrong. Or is that worse? Or is it worse when by mistake you do an Aveira? For example, right, you do a Malacha on Shabbos. You didn't know it was Shabbos. You didn't know the Malacha was Aser. You didn't learn about it. So which one is worse, right? On one hand, the guy did amazing, but he didn't do anything wrong. But Shogi, you did something wrong, but it was unintentional. So he said for sure that it's worse to do it unintentionally, because you bring a korban chatas for that, right? If you do malacha on Shabbos, you didn't know the malacha is asar, you bring a korban chatas, you bring a korban for that. A korban costs you a lot of money. However, if you do an avera maze, you didn't do anything wrong. What's the example of that? The example of that is tonight's Gemara. We talk about someone makes a neder, and the neder is not chal, right? A woman took a neder. She said that she's not going to service her husband. She's not going to make the beds for her husband. She's not going to wash his hands and his face. She's not going to mix his drink for him. These things are poor drinks for him. These are things that she can't do. It's like if she says, I'm not going to be together with my husband, she can't do that. It's not effective. But nonetheless, Rav Gamliel says he has to be made for it. And we bring a brisa. This brisa is brought in other places. It says, things which are really mutter, right? Because the neder is not chal. The neder was not chal. She doesn't have the ability to make a neder like this. Also the Gemara, Chazal give the example in Maseches Kedushin, where a woman takes an naziris upon herself, and her father, she accepted naziris upon herself, and her father heard about a naziris and is made for the naziris, but she didn't realize her father was made for the naziris. Then she goes ahead and starts to drink wine, which is a violation of naziris, right? So it says she did an avera. So he said that Gemara. He quoted that Gemara, but it's not obviously as bad as bringing a korban chatas. So I wasn't sure about this. I listened to my Rebbe, but to me it made more sense the other way. Because which one is intentional, right? If you're doing something unintentionally, intentionally is worse. So I think from this Gemara you see, I have an argument from this Gemara. I'm not going to say I won the argument, but I build my thought process is really based on this Gemara. Where the Gemara says, right, Rav Gamliel says he's just made for, right? Even though the neder is not chal, the neder is not chal, there's no isser. So why should it be made for the neder? Why should he get rid of the neder if there is no neder? So, and the support is from a brisa, right? In a place where people think, right, something is aser, and it's really not aser, right? You have to make sure they keep their chumrah, even though it's not really aser. Right? Mishum shenemar yachal dvaro. We learn out of the pasuk by Nedarim, right? Take a neder. You shouldn't make your dvarim, your words, meaningless. Your words shouldn't be chulin. Your words shouldn't be non-consecrated. created. They should be kadosh. Your words should be holy, meaning you say something, you mean it. You should do it. So you thought you're taking a neder. You don't realize the halacha doesn't prevent you from taking a neder upon yourself. Nonetheless, in your belief system and your understanding is neder is chal, and you go ahead and you violate that neder. Therefore, it's important to be made for the neder. The Gemara says, because you're doing it b'mezid over here, even though there's no isser. That's why it's important that they should be made for the neder, and you should tell your wife you're made for the neder. So I'll just explain my thought process and understanding of why the Gemara offers an argument like this, and why I think it's actually worse than doing something b'shogeg, is because I've mentioned many times, when we say essay docha losa say, especially docha, we talked about this in the Mishnayos, the essay pushes away the losa. Does that mean that there's no avera? Or maybe it means there's an avera, but the positive commandment is stronger than the negative commandment, and therefore the Torah says do an isser, make the right decision. That's because ultimately the Torah is about making the right decision, right? There's so many decisions in life that are not guided by the halachas of the Torah, and we're responsible to make the right decisions in those cases. So therefore, that's the crux of the Torah and mitzvos, is making the right decision. The Torah teaches you how to make the right decision. Sometimes you're faced with two evils, right? Which one is the worst of the two evils? When you have essay dochalosa say, I'm not saying two are evils, but you could be doing an avera. The Torah says even doing an avera, it's better to do the mitzvah, because that's the way to do it. There's no other way to do it. If the bris milah falls out on Shabbos, right? So you're supposed to do the bris milah on Shabbos, even though perhaps it's an isser. Now I said it in my Mishnah here. I don't think it's an isser at all. I think it's hutra, not the chuya. But the chuya means it's dachle, it's pushed away, meaning the isser is still there. Well, you push it away, you do it anyway. Now I talked about this in the beginning of Benzion Nedarim also, the isser of Eishasach by Yibum. You're not allowed to marry your brother's wife. However, there's mitzvah of Yibum when he dies without children. So the mitzvah of Yibum is doche the isser kares of Eishasach, right? So I explained over there, I believe that we really are doing an isser, but the Torah recommends that this is the proper choice. And that's the most important thing in life, is to make the right decision. Even if you're doing an isser, Hashem only really cares about if you make the right decision. That's why if you're doing something amazing, you do it on purpose, right? An avera, so you're deciding to do something against the Torah. That is a lot worse than where you didn't make a decision. Your decision was to do something you thought was mutter. It happens to be your mistake, but your decision making wasn't faulty over there. Your decision making wasn't crooked over there. Your decision making was intact. You just didn't know. So you do tshuva and you bring a korban chatas. But when your decision making is faulty, that's the worst possible thing, because you're supposed to make the right decisions. And even though there's no isser over here, but you decided that you're going to do something wrong, you're going to go ahead and violate the neder, right? You're going to violate the neder. You're taking a zeros upon yourself. You're going to drink the wine, even though your father was made for the neder. The naziros, that's worse in my mind, and that's the crux of my argument. And to this day, I still believe that I'm right, and it really is worse to make the wrong decision, to purposely make the wrong decision, than by mistake doing avera where you didn't make the wrong decision. Hope we know tonight's share. See you in the next one.